Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Throne of Steel based on novel. So let's start. We are leaving. Making use of the light coming from the setting sun, Long Hao-chen pointed a direction, bringing his comrades there by flight. The group of 7 people and 4 holy guards took the shape of 11 glows of lights, and as they flew at an altitude of 2 kilometers, the horizon rapidly disappeared from their sight. At the time they took 16 slaughter missions, Long Hao-chen made this choice in view of an extensive trip, planning on expending at least 1 year to complete these missions without necessarily ending up completing them all. And on this day, several months later, they didn't only complete all the missions, but even managed to destroy a demon god pillar and gained a lot treasures from the trip. Of course, over these few months, the cost they paid was similarly high. Having paced back and forth a few times between life and death, Long Hao-chen and Kia narrowly died in the hands of demons, and the final result was Kia's loss of memories. These last few months felt like years to them, and everyone seemed to have matured a lot from the experiences they had during this time. It was not for no reason that Long Hao-chen led his group north. By heading in this direction to leave the Andro province, they could keep themselves away from the main demon forces. That was because the central demon province was at the south. If the demon god emperor or another demon god were to sense the death of Andromalius or the destruction of his demon god pillar, they would be bound to send powerhouses from the south. For this reason, leaving from the south or the west could lead to a direct encounter with these powerhouses, among whom there could be very possibly extremely powerful enemies. Only by heading all the way north could they keep away from these enemies. Before entering the swamps of gloom, Long Hao-chen took good care in choosing their path of retreat. First they would head north, before proceeding to the west after reaching the cold regions of the north. This time, their destination of retreat was the Exorcist Mountain Path. Wasn't it right at the north of the Temple Alliance? Thus it couldn't be considered so long a detour, yet the safest path. Of course, they couldn't keep traveling by flight for too long. First, it comes with a too huge consumption of spiritual energy, and then demons also have abilities of detection. Of course, at present they were in the most inner part of the demon territory, almost at the east coast of the continent. The surveillance of this area was a lot laxer, and in particular, no one would possibly be monitoring the area above the swamps of gloom. Going by flight at full speed, Long Hao-chen's comrades at the 6th step started to reach their limits after half an hour of flight. Fortunately, this time was enough for them to leave the range of the swamps. By the time they set down, it was already deep into the night, but Long Hao-chen didn't give his comrades a very long break. Only letting them the time to recover some spiritual energy, even making use of some of the pills prepared beforehand by Lin Xin. Then everyone immediately hastened on their journey, speeding towards north. After landing back on the ground, Long Hao-chen called back the 4 holy guards, and had everyone disguise themselves back into moon demons, traveling day and night at rushed speed. The defenses on the eastern territory were indeed lax. Han Yu summoned his demonic eye, and used the scouting technique with eyes of truth to scan their way, and everyone tried the utmost to avoid areas inhabited by demons, and like that, the trip went on smoothly. They headed north for about 5 days, and as time passed, the temperature kept going down. The 64th Commander Grade Demon Hunt Squad was already close to the tip of the northern territory, and this time Long Hao-chen changed direction, and started to head west. On the following trip of half a month, everything extraordinarily went smoothly, even if they encountered 2 relatively densely populated demon provinces in their path. To their great luck, they didn't run into any inconvenience, and didn't discover any large demon armies. Nightfall. Everyone was seated across a bonfire, roasting provisions. Long Hao-chen sat there, wrinkling his brows, seemingly preoccupied by some thoughts. Sima Xian chuckled, "Boss, what's up? Our way back is going so smoothly, what could you be worried about? According to the map, we will reach the frontier between the human and the demon territory approximately tomorrow at noon. As long as we pass the demon frontier, we will be able to reach our destination, the Exorcist Mountain Pass." Long Hao-chen shook his head, and replied, "Don't you all find that quite strange? On our way back, we certainly intently took a remote and roundabout path, but isn't it going excessively smoothly? The demon population is so astonishing, but we didn't even run into a single demon army. This is really abnormal. In fact, we have already crossed many frontiers of provinces on our way. And as we keep getting closer, we instead keep encountering more and more food transport. Although the demons are stationing large armies here, aren't these numbers of rations too much? Hanyu's line of thinking being the closest of Long Houchen, he immediately reacted to his remark, "Captain, are you saying that the demons are very possibly plotting something of large scale against humans?" Long Houchen nodded, "It is highly possible. Although I still don't know how much rations they have brought here, such a high concentration of provision is rarely seen. The armies they are transferring this time must be really considerable, and may even surpass the ones we encountered at the time of our first trial in that same place." Sima Xian revealed an angry smile. "Isn't this an ideal encounter? Since we happen to be encountering them, how about getting rid of some little demons? Speaking of it, war missions are still in the end the best ones out there. With our abundant rear support and friendly help in the battlefield, we can go all out in the battlefield without worries." Times could be said to have changed for the 64th Commander Grade Demon Hunt Squad compared to their first excursion in Exorcist Mountain Pass. They were now a lot stronger. Sima Xian's words raised the spirits of the whole group. After continuous experience of death and life, trials of iron and blood, while maturing, their strength also increased. The battlefield was not only the best place to hone their skills and experience, but also a place where they would gain many rewards. Long Houchen ordered, "And you, from today on, you will have the demonic eye, keep its hawk's eye and eyes of the truth activated. And maintain your vigilance, everyone. We will have some rest here this evening and tomorrow as well. After days of rushed traveling, everyone must be quite tired. Since the Exorcist's mountain pass can possibly get attacked by the demons, we shall rest here until getting back to our peak state. I reckon that crossing the frontier won't be easy." Indeed, they didn't waste any time ever since leaving the swamps of gloom. Although everyone still had some energy left, after having traveled at full speed every day, the group was in the end very tired. In particular, the main point was that they were still in demon territory, and thus had to always remain on high alert, so everyone was somewhat tired. After taking warm provisions, Long Houchen gave a gentle look to the nearby Kia, feeling at peace. Over the past few days, Kia's attitude towards him had gotten a lot better. At least she didn't remain as vigilant as when she had just lost her memories. And gradually, she had also gotten more familiar with the others. What made Long Houchen most delighted was that her grasp over her abilities was gradually coming back, her control already being at least back to 80% of her original level. Her development seemed to continue smoothly. Long Houchen also believed that meeting her parents and relatives would help greatly in recovering her memories back. Ever since his baptism by the divine snail of sun and moon, Long Houchen's mind seemed a lot more stable. The negative feelings he had accumulated through so many years of self-discipline ended up being cleansed thoroughly. His pure heart as a scion of light was completely back. This made not only his thinking all the more thorough, and his maturity reinforced, but also affected his attitude, resolution, and calm. Kia seemed to be sensing Long Houchen's gaze. Right after she raised her head at him, the two of them looked at each other. The corners of Kia's mouth raised slightly, she revealed a moving smile. Long Houchen was stupefied, suddenly realizing that Kia's current predicament wasn't bad either. Although she lost all her memories, it also released her from all the painful memories from her childhood. It was only that he didn't know when he would be able to regain his past intimacy with her. How he wanted to hug her in his embrace. After resting for one night and a whole day, everyone in the 64th Commander Grade Demon Hunt Squad felt in high spirits. Ever since the day they had arrived in demon territory, aside from the period of time they spent at the team section in the Jacques City, this was the first time they were able to get such peaceful rest. The day was coming to an end, and night fell gradually. Long Houchen chose this timing to set out with his comrades again, heading for the frontier. With the help of the demonic eye serving as their main scout, they advanced with utter care. Far ahead, the demon camps were already in their view. At the time everyone was close enough to survey the scene from above, they couldn't help but shiver. The faces of every one of them instantly looked unsightly. Compared to the last time they saw it, these demon camps were at least 3 times greater scope. In fact, among demons, only middle and high-ranked demons would be able to reside in camps, whereas lower-ranked ones like dual-bladed demon would only be able to reside in the wilderness. The camps near the Exorcist mountain pass were originally not small at all, but with its size shooting up by threefolds, the size of their army ought to exceed 1 million men. In fact, even if the demons were to bring their entire race to arms, an army gathering 1 million of them was an incomparably terrifying sight. These were incomparable numbers already. And atop of that, the most shocking wasn't these numbers. What shocked them the most was that when surveying the camp from afar, they could clearly see that 8 glows of different colors were shooting up, faintly lighting up the area of the camps like rays shot at the sky. Demon god pillars. These were actually 8 of them, meaning that 8 demon gods were keeping watch. And furthermore, the light spreading from 2 of them was really intense, making it clear that these ones weren't ordinary, belonging to mighty demon gods of the top 10. Underscore just what are demons up to? Are they planning to launch a full-scale attack? Underscore everyone in Longhouchen's group had these same thoughts. At the sight of these seemingly endless camps, Longhouchen pondered. The others remained silent, and all were waiting for his verdict calmly. An army of 1 million demons, with 8 demon gods overseeing it. Can one really describe it otherwise than overbearing? We are making a detour. Longhouchen decided after pondering for a short time. The Exorcist mountain pass is close to the middle of the demon-resisting mountain range, stretching 1 kilometer. Even if these demon armies numbered even more than we are expecting, they can't possibly cover the whole mountain range. We will just take the long route, looking for a location with smaller defenses to breach our way out. As long as we pass through the demon-resisting mountain range, there will naturally be no issue for us to return to Exorcist City. After planning this out, everyone immediately set out, while keeping enough distance with the demon army, traveling on a curved trajectory to the north. Because the demon base camps were in the southeast, by passing through north, they would avoid the majority of the demon army and wouldn't easily run across demon reinforcements. The demon camps turned out to be even larger than they imagined. The main force's army extended over 50 kilometers, and a large amount of subsidiary soldiers and patrols were scouting on the border. Aside from the area right in front of the Exorcist mountain pass, at regular intervals, demon beacons and garrisons stood in guard. And some were placed at most spots at the edge of the mountain range, so as to prevent being caught in a surprise attack from the Alliance. After all, given the length of the frontiers, the demons couldn't possibly encircle the whole Temple Alliance either. Which was why Longhouchen chose to take a detour. Of course, this wasn't a method Longhouchen alone thought about. Almost all demon hunt squads whose members are over the 6th step would choose to break through the frontier from a rather weakly defended place, crossing it this way. For the sake of safety, Longhouchen's group kept going north for 100 more kilometers before stopping. At that very moment, the sky was greatly lit and the afternoon would soon start. After finding a rather scarce shrubbery area, Longhouchen led his comrades to take a rest here. Night was the best timing to operate in secret, and tonight was the day they chose to return to the Alliance. In Longhouchen's opinion, dawn was the best timing, because that time, humans as well as demons would all be a lot more lax. But one factor determined his choice of time, and that was the divine snail shield of sun and moon. After attempting these few days, he figured that using the divine snail shield of sun and moon at dawn and dusk was impossible for him. At this time, they were at about 10 kilometers from the frontier, right at the limit of the range of their scouting mags. And furthermore, it was right in front of the Exorcist mountain range. In the 64th Demon Hunt Squad, aside from the fastest cultivators being Longhouchen and Kia, the cultivation speed of the others was actually not slow at all. It was just that their progress was overshadowed by Longhouchen and Kia. For instance, the current Hanyu was already at 6,000 units of internal spiritual energy, reaching the standards of the 4th rank of the 6th step at a great speed. And he was not even 20 yet? To give a simple comparison, at this age, Longhouchen's father may not even necessarily have reached this level of cultivation. Along with the increase of Hanyu's strength, his magical beast companion the demonic eye also evolved to commander level, barely attaining the power of a human powerhouse of the 6th step. The diameter of that eye was already half a meter, with 6 meters long tentacles circling along. Although its utility to the team was mainly to do scouting, its fighting strength was still not to be underestimated. The sky gradually darkening, the demon armies on the frontier set up a bonfire. A group consisting of 50 dual-bladed demons was making a tour there. The dual-bladed demons formed the largest part of the demons in quantity, so this kind of hard labor was naturally given to them. Aside from dual-bladed demons, their ranks also contained a demon eye soldier, in charge of communication. As they were advancing, that demon eye soldier suddenly let out a shriek, stopping his advance. The dual-bladed demons hurried to stop and gathered around it. These lower-ranked demons were unable to speak any language, and were relying on their instincts to communicate. The 6 eyes of the demon eye soldier were staring at one direction. But the next instant, those demons all fell to the ground intuitively. A black-clad person was walking rapidly towards their direction. Not human-shaped, but a black gigantic dragon of colossal size. Its eyes glinting red, coldly sweeping through the demon eye soldier and the dual-bladed demons, making them almost limp. On the back of the black gigantic dragon were a total of 9 black-gowned people, among whom the one at the lead had an extremely handsome face. As he showed a tile to the demon eye and dual-bladed demons, they didn't stop over at all, simple striding forward as they passed by. Let alone stopping them to ask about their identity, the demon eye and dual-bladed demons didn't even have the courage to stand up in front of the devil dragon's might. All they could do was to follow them with their eyes, full of reverence, as these peak demon powerhouses drifted away, gradually disappearing in the night scene. The direction they were heading was toward the demon-resisting mountain range. Until their sense of the dragon's might disappeared totally, this patrol was groveling on the ground, taking visibly rough breaths. Given that it was the first time they saw peak powerhouses up close, seeing them act undisturbed would be the stranger thing. In their way, it turned out to be even more successful than they expected. Until arriving at the demon-resisting mountain range, McDull had to consume 5 demon crystals of the 6th step to maintain the appearance of a devil dragon without issue. Actually, with their current disguise, being trouble-free was a given. With the shape of a demon hunter remover squad, led by a devil dragon, to say nothing of an ordinary patrolling team, even demons of the 7th or the 8th step wouldn't necessarily have dared stepping forward for an examination. A dragon team demon hunter removal, that was a core formidable existence. Simply because of the excessive amount of danger they experienced in demon territory, Long Houchen acted extremely cautiously. Only when finally entering the demon-resisting mountain range, everyone started to relax. At this point only, they could be considered to have returned to the human domain. McDull turned back in his shape of pig, at last falling asleep in Chen Yinger's arms. He obviously progressed well. In the past, even after taking enough magical crystal as supply, he couldn't possibly transform himself into a demon of the 9th step for so long. At least until Chen Yinger reached the 7th step, this was still too much for him to handle through normal means. After changing clothes from the black gowns, removing the magical eyes, and recalling the 2 holy guards, Long Houchen's group immediately changed back into the shape of a demon hunt squad. Under their black gowns, everyone was fully equipped. After exposing themselves, they naturally let out a powerful presence. Murderous spirit was cultivated in them through trials of life or death. They didn't realize it themselves, but in reality, the continuous act of tempering themselves had changed their manners enormously. There was nowhere to stop by, so the group immediately headed for the peak of the demon-resisting mountain range. The demon-resisting mountain range was the largest region of influence of the Temple Alliance, extending over 500 kilometers, with a width close to 500 kilometers. Without traveling by flight, at least 2 days would be required to travel through these mountain ranges. For the sake of prudence, and to avoid the possibility of getting found out by the enemies lying in patrol in the mountain range, Long Houchen naturally had them travel by walk. To them, climbing the mountains wasn't so much of an effort either. Wang Yuan was here to give Chen Yinger some help, and the same went for Sima Xian and Lin Xin. This way, their climbing speed improved significantly. The night gradually deepened. Nearly 1 hour after entering the demon-resisting mountain range, Long Houchen's group finally reached the first summit. This mountain peak was over 2 kilometers high, filled with the cold of the north. The peak was completely covered in ice and snow. The mountain's wind was cold enough to give everyone chills. Something seems to have happened in the south. And you suddenly told Long Houchen in a low voice. Long Houchen looked at a certain direction, at a point faintly discernible through the fog behind the hilltop. With the absence of light in the night, even his eyesight didn't manage to discern anything in that direction. And you continued, the demonic eye discovered it. Seems that there are quite a few people present. But it is rather far from here, making it impossible to determine whether it is people from our side or demons. After pondering for a short time, Long Houchen responded, have the demonic eye act as scout. We have at least to find out whether they are trying to infiltrate the mountain, or heading out from it. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.